We're moving towards fall here, and I thought it'd be nice to do an update on our living wall system along the road before we start getting into leaf drop in another few weeks. So stick around and we'll go into some detail on how it's performed for the season and where it is right now. I'd like to start with the zoomed out view here. This is from the northeast corner looking towards our home. Believe it or not, it's somewhere in there. I'd say this year, definitively, this vegetative wall has filled out enough to just absolutely block the view. You can see the roof over it. And of course, bear in mind there are cars driving by. That's part of the reason why we've got this living wall, so please be patient when it gets loud with that. The miscanthus is the absolute heavy lifter here, doing the most work protecting from the view from the road. I'll take a shot from the chicken yard. We actually have some grapes running through there that little wild birds are going nuts for this time of year. It's pretty exciting. Miscanthus is definitely the strongest element in the main block here, and on the western side the willows are really doing some nice work. But the other diverse characters that are in there, they're just holding on barely, but they're there, and I'm looking forward to next year promoting some more diversity. If I step a little closer here, you can see Helianthus giganteus, or the gigantic perennial sunflower, is squirting out there. This is to the north, and they're certainly light-starved, but boy, are they adaptable. And they're leaning almost parallel to the ground all through this whole line. They made some beautiful flowers a few weeks back. They're still spitting out a few flowers here or there. Lots and lots of microscopic sunflower seed is going to be available for the wild birds. And we even have this growing in the chicken yard, so as it drops those little seeds, they can pick up these little oily protein nuggets. I think for next season, what we'll probably do is prune the miscanthus back a little bit more to promote these so they can stand up a bit. And likewise, this spring we put in variegated willow cuttings, which have been remarkable at holding on in the shade under here. You can barely see them. It's all these little cuttings throughout, and they definitely could use more light next year. So I think we're going to be, I was a little reluctant to cut the miscanthus and start using it as a chop and drop in here because it has such a potent effect in blocking the road, but I'd like to see these other plants. So we'll do some more management next year. A little closer to the driveway, it's really nice to see how well the elderberry is holding its own, and it's actually helping to hold the miscanthus up from leaning outward a bit. And this year in particular, these hybrid poplar cuttings, a few of them have popped through and are really on their way onward and upward. You can see that one's easily taller than the miscanthus. So what we'll end up doing is next year cutting them back at around shoulder height so that they leaf out a little thicker where we need that vegetative protection. And of course, sunchokes, they're never not there. The beautiful part with these stampede sunchokes is just now they're beginning to swell flower buds. We're in mid-September, and these will be flowering sometime into early October. We have another variety further up in here that is in its flowering moment, and so in another few weeks we can anticipate another huge pop of color before we get into the actual winter time. Here on the other side of the driveway, the western side, the willows are certainly doing their work. Some of them are quite tall. As a form that wants to become a tree, there's a lot more management involved in having these willow cuttings here than what the miscanthus and elderberry and giant perennial sunflower do. This is a good example of putting in plants that naturally will be different than what you want, and then needing to manage them more or less indefinitely. So each year I'll be cutting back these willows. That's compatible with our goals because we need cuttings for shipping through our website and for planting into other areas. But if we wanted to set it and forget it sort of scenario for a living wall, a being that wants to become a full-size tree in this context is a little tricky. But we love having them here. Earlier in the season, I made a note how some of the willows were getting chewed on, and what ended up happening is 2 of them in this hedgerow died. This one's just straight up sticks, and there's another one a little over. And this is to me a really great reminder that when you're planting plant-based solutions to problems, either you want lots of food and medicine, or you want firewood, or you want visual protection from a busy road, diversity is key. Those two willows died, you barely would know it. In fact, where that willow died and that willow died, there's actually just an increase in the other plants. The elderberry is sucking up all of the root mass from that willow and really thriving. There's a red bud that was being suppressed deeper in there that now has more resources and light, and the sunchokes are popping. So I'm very content that two of those willows died. I'm sad for them, but I'm very fine with them having passed away, because the bigger picture is there's now room for other characters to really push up and be part of this solution. You can see the hazelnuts in the background there. They're at about 10 feet tall now, so we'll be pollarding them next year. And again, this is the year that the redbuds and the poplars are finally high enough in this system that they're going to start really accumulating a ton of light. It's a very significant wall of plants right there. There's no view coming through that at this point. In fact, there's a car zipping by. Let's see if we can even see it. Okay, a little hint. Let me take a walk into the chicken yard and show you from the inside out. And I thought it might also be interesting while I'm heading that way to show, we had some friends come by the other day with a really nice quality drone to take some overall footage of our property here. And my friend Jacob took this really neat shot showing the living wall, but then pulling up and over it and giving you a sense of what's on the other side. I thought that was kind of neat to see. From the inside of our chicken yard, we'll do an update soon on our composting system and how that's all going. You can hear all the fluttering from the wild birds in here. They're picking amaranth seed and sunflower heads right now and getting more and more comfortable with us by the day. From the inside, looking outward, you can see this wall. From the inside, you can really sense more the vining layer, the hops and the grapes. And there you can see the miscanthus peeking just over all that. Now, of course, we can still hear the road. I think if we really wanted to block the road audio, we would have needed a wall filled with soil and stone and wood. We just didn't have the depth to be able to do that. But visually, this wall has done at just about 100% what we've asked of it to do. And from the inside, we're basically in this dense, moist jungle of plums and hazelnuts, honeyberries and black currants and red currants and golden grapes. These are some pretty amazing grapes all through here, protected from the dirt of the road that we can nibble and share with the birds. And because it's so dense in here, there's so much vegetation, there's even room for some beautiful spider friends to do their work. It's becoming a little hedgerow ecosystem back in here. And be hard-pressed to sense that about 15 feet on the other side of this is a road that gets hundreds and hundreds of cars an hour for their morning commute. Probably enough detail for this fall update at this point. Some highlights, again, would be next year to consider cutting the miscanthus back to really promote more diversity in that shrub and tree layer, and continue to add in some elements here or there. One area that is kind of a weak point with all this is from the ditch up to the road. We've been trying all sorts of different plants in here. I just think with the toxicity coming off the road, we're hard-pressed to find plants that can really thrive in this context. Red clover's doing pretty well. Viper's bugloss, which Sasha planted a few years ago, is naturalizing in this ditch. But it'd be nice to get some more color and form down in here, so we'll keep experimenting with that. Good morning.
Great.
And the other side here, same picture. We've got some marshmallow, some senna, little samplers here and there that are doing okay, but I think we need more mulch, more compost, and a little bit more of a deliberate design from the ditch up to the road. Make it a little more colorful and showy. So we'll keep thinking there and evolving that. If you folks out there have some suggestions of who is salt tolerant and toxicity tolerant from a busy roadway that is a low herbaceous layer perennial hardy to zone 5B, how's that for some bits to figure out? Please let us know. We're interested to add more. I think some candidates that will be expanded a bit more would be Hidcote comfrey. This is a running dwarfing comfrey, which I think will add a lot of color and density and hold onto the soil pretty nicely. We'll probably use some more echinaceas, some more bee balms, some more anise hyssops, and some more sennas, since they're so colorful and nice this time of year. We can look in these other gardens for some cues as to who could be really nice elements for out there. But for now, blah, 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 that's our living wall. And look forward to making some more updates. Thanks for watching.